Talking Cryptocurrency, which was a cryptocurrency show where I interviewed kind of startup founders and developers and investors, evangelists, all that kind of stuff. And then I moved on to Talk to Seattle, which, what gosh, it was just kind of like a local interview show about civics and politics. So lots of people running for office coming on the show, talking to them about how they would like to run the city. Bunches of artists, lots of street artists, and more recently that I've started doing, I've done too many podcasts. I've been doing the podcast of mystery, which is kind of a podcast where I just do interviews with people from the strange and the unknown and the paranormal. So I've had like psychics on. I've had well, psychics and mediums, people that are or say they're in contact with aliens, and kind of alternative historians, just all kinds of strange things. We've also had like horror writers and sci-fi writers and directors on. Yeah, so that's kind of what that show is. Kind of like maybe like an updated version of Art Bell's show, and maybe not right wing. Yeah, yeah. Well, during the pandemic, I, like many people, had a lot of time on my hands. So, I really was trying to think of what I was going to be doing or what I wanted to do to kind of occupy my time. And initially, what I wanted to do was a show that was just about debunking conspiracy theories. And, I started doing that and I just never really felt comfortable with it. And I really just want to talk about the paranormal and the unusual and stuff. And I didn't really, it just didn't feel right. I've got a whole philosophy behind it, but now I've just kind of decided I just want to talk to people. And mostly it's just been a way of occupying my time. I'm not really under any illusion that it's going to make any money. Probably when I get, the job at the gas station, I'll probably have to stop doing the podcast to mystery. But until then, I'll keep on doing my interviews with all these strange, unusual people. And, yeah, I'm not really under any illusion that I'll ever get paid for anything I ever do.
Okay, okay. Well, that's an illusion I struggle with. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah. Shows. You learn that if you want to create a show like I want to do, what my vision was kind of like those Sunday morning kind of news programs, where you just give someone a chance to talk. And, I like that kind of long form stuff. But when listeners would talk to me, they would be like, oh, I downloaded so many of your episodes. I just haven't listened to them yet. And I realized that, Talk to Seattle is definitely one of those things where I'm making vegetables for people. People feel like they should be consuming this content, but they don't really want to, right?
that's
Which
great. I love that.
is an extra layer of frustration as a content creator, because you are making this thing that's kind of, you think, meaningful and good for the community, but a lot of folks are just like, yeah, yeah, they agree, but they're not really interested. And then you find the people that are, um I mean, you just turn on the news or the radio and you'll hear people, they'll be yelling and screaming about who knows what, and they get tons and tons of engagement because engaging people's emotions is so much more profitable than actually just engaging their
Let's run
brains.
down here. First story, or actually, we're going to go second story. Technically, you're the first story. Second story, we'll have a video with. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear it. And this is Love Has One Colt. Let's check it out here. Actually, let's do a little. Let's go to it and see if I can just pause the. Here. Here we go.
I am.
Okay, so Love Has One, Jason.
All right, I don't
Seven
think I've heard of
arrested.
these folks.
Seven arrested in
Wow.
suspension of this woman's death. All kinds of things to cover here. First, heard about this on Dr. Phil. This was a Dr. Phil segment a while ago. They
Of
had
course.
members of them on, of course, yeah, and the mother, of course, was on there as well. The most intriguing content I found, which this video is from, is via Vice, which does lots of good video work.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, this woman is Amy Carlson, also known as Mother God to
Mother God.
Mother God of Love Has One. Family reported device that she got into New Age thinking about 30 years ago, walked out on her third marriage and job. Uh, Supposedly, she says she's 19 billion years old. She's been saving humanity.
Wow.
She birthed all of creation and will lead 144,000 chosen ones into a spiritual fifth dimension. So that's what these
Wow.
events are for.
Those aren't very good odds considering the number of people
It's not
there are.
weirdly specific, but also not good odds. So yeah. uh, quote, "Mom was reincarnated, and Trump within that lifetime was her father." This was from the Vice
Oh,
article.
wow.
Yeah, very interesting. We also got
Lucky.
vid of her talking to Robin Williams, presumably in the afterlife. A former follower said she suspected intoxication on that one, even though officially her and the members are not allowed to do drugs. This got explained away on Dr. Phil as alcohol and mushrooms being natural. So
True.
I mean,
True.
yes, I mean, I'll give you that. Former father gods, which were men who were led as to be in kind of the co-position of leadership. One had come and gone, said he showed up after being, he was kind of going for, looking, for the meaning of life after a bad car crash. Showed up first day, and the whole house was on a group mushroom trip, and he said
Nice.
he knew he screwed up right then and there. So still went in the house, stayed around for a little bit, then broke out, but he was talking to Vice. Very interesting stuff. Let's go ahead and watch the rest of this video, and then we'll go from there, Jason. Here.
God!
This is Amy Carlson.
Jesus.
I cannot hear it.
I am
Oh,
God!
This is Amy Carlson.
Jesus fucking motherfucking Christ. Who I am.
But others allege a culture of abuse.
It's a cult, it's a scam, it's a lot of mental manipulation, a lot of brainwash.
We're a cult because we see the truth.
Love Has Won has a revolving cast of 20 full-time members. All have left their own lives behind to join Carlson.
Purity. Bounce for money.
They spend their time bringing in donations via live stream, selling new age merchandise, and attending to Carlson's every need. The 44-year-old's devoted followers call her Mum or Mother God.
All the collective emotions. She's hurt. She's hurt that we are embodying as a species who she created so much disrespect for her.
Spiritual ego horse, done! If you're not connected to me, you're out. Thank you for your service.
Goodness. What I heard about the beer and the mushrooms,
Yes.
I was in. But then she seems very angry and aggressive. So I don't know if I could deal with that.
So yeah, the story is during the day, her sober moments, she's very thoughtful and
Yeah.
into that kind of thing. But then she would one of the father gods who escaped, who showed up to the house tripping on mushrooms, says that she would fill highball glasses of vodka, spray a little water on them, and just down those.
Wow.
And supposedly not supposed to do that, but it was natural. So I guess that's
Yeah.
what this
Yeah,
shot
all
that you see
natural, yeah.
is them on.
I mean, other than the brewing, the distilling, and
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna find it in a tree somewhere or something. It's not like
Yeah.
this water.
Or at least not the good stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you might find something, but
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, 20 regular followers, officially banned from drug use. 5 hours of sleep limit. 6 a.m. they'd get up and
Wow.
live stream, and they would pump all kinds of silver and just all kinds of holistic treatments and that sort of thing.
what kind of content were they? How long were they streaming for?
Good
Do you know?
point as far as length goes. That's a good
Yeah,
question.
yeah, because if there's a group of them, they're only getting 5 hours, and then the rest is live streaming. How would they fill that content?
Oh,
As a content creator, I'm admiring them.
well, if you look at when you start watching these videos, especially that full Vice piece, you get the idea that it's a lot of. It's kind of what brought them down, or at least brought them out to being noticed by people for the wrong things. Because
Yeah.
there's footage of her demanding a small crying child be put in a closet. There's footage of her holding a cat out by its scruff. So there's. You
Yeah.
can see that these streams are going on long enough,
Yeah.
and there's enough downtime when something isn't officially being planned that
Mhm.
shit that if they thought about it, well, let's maybe not have this out there, but there's
Yes.
no PR on there.
The classic pitfall of most live streamers, right? Is
Exactly.
that line of when have you shared too much?
Exactly. So, let's see here. Recently,
Hey.
go ahead. was
Oh no,
gonna
don't worry about it.
I was
I was trying to fill
recently
time.
in MountShastaNews.com in California. They were known to be in Colorado, I should state. In MountShastaNews.com, published April 26th by Sky Kincaid. Sky goes in and says that Mount Shasta is a beacon for New Age activity. They reported that the members or parts of the group were there and residing around the area, and they had recently found like an abandoned bake setup, like bake shop, bake stand rather, with like pot brownies, but nobody at the stand, right?
Yeah.
So like that's whatever, you know. But apparently there's been like lots of noise complaints and things like that. At one point they tried to get someone to check in, but they didn't have reasonable cause to get the warrant. So that's all that was. They had recently been kicked out of a home in Hawaii. So they went from Colorado to Hawaii. Apparently had gotten kicked out by local petitioners. And
Petitioners.
Or
they can kick you out of Hawaii if they get enough people together and say, "Get this guy out."
Yeah, well, petitioners, not an official. What's that? Like picketers. We'll say that.
Picketers. Oh, okay.
And
because I mean that would be kind of interesting if you'd be able to definitely keep Hawaii nice, I guess.
Apparently they can. They got him the heck out of there. Moved him to Colorado or California. The owner of this house where they were staying in Colorado had been gone for a while, supposedly. So this California place, let me go back for a second. So California was like, okay, we're kicking them out. 2 days, let's see, that's April 26th. On April 28th, there was a report in Colorado that this guy had showed up to his house. His son is a member of this group. They had taken over the house. He tried to remove his son, and they wouldn't let him in the house to take the son.
Oh, boy.
He told the cops, which was enough to get a search warrant, and guess what they found when they searched the house? The mummified corpse of Mother God. So, yes.
How long had she been dead?
Okay, well, Mr. Miguel Lamboy is who reportedly found him. It was his home. He's described as a member of the group. He ID'd the dead woman as Leah Carlson, whose son later confirmed that's Amy Carlson's, a.k.a. Said to authorities she was clearly dead because she was, quote-unquote, missing her eyes. The reports include one from her estranged son, who helped confirm that it was her that died. On Dr. Phil, in fact, she had said that she had cancer and was paralyzed, and that was about a year or so ago. The coroner has yet to confirm that it's her, but again, there is evidence to suggest such. Mr. Lamboy tried to leave his residence with his son, couldn't get him in. Found the body, and they believe it's been dead for several weeks and was actually probably moved to California from Colorado.
Really?
So, 7 are arrested, and they're being charged with improper use of a body and child endangerment. One of the children, I guess, is an older young teenager who was the son of Mr. Lamboy's. The other one is I presume, the very young child that is seen being put in the closet on one of the live stream footage. So this is a whole mess, Jason.
Yeah.
Very
So do you think that they're actually going to get charged with, what was it, mishandling a body or not? Because, I mean, they are a religious organization. And, when you say that, I would say that most religions, even if they're considered a cult, they should be able to handle the dead bodies the way they see fit.
It's funny you asked that, because I brought this up to my 14-year-old daughter, and she's like, that's illegal? Like, I'm like, well, and I'm saying to her, like, well, duh, there's a dead body. We got to make people do something with it, or crimes won't get reported. People.
Well, also, we do have, there is a history of bad things happening to bodies, from corpse stealing to other things.
Yes. Okay, exactly. So like, I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole with her. But, like, trust me, it's a good rule to have.
Yeah, trust me on this. You don't want to know.
So they found her wrapped up, like I said, mummified, but also wrapped up in Christmas lights in a sort of
Christmas lights. All right. That might be the way I want to be buried now.
It's not a
Christmas lights and then lower it down. Yeah.
Yeah, or like hung from. I was thinking like a hanging from the roof sort of situation.
Like kind of a piñata kind of situation, or.
Oh, dang, yeah. one wants that candy, though. I don't think. But yeah, so a little bit of a shrine was built to her. They brought these people in. Improper use of disposing the body. We'll see how that goes. Very interesting that this has been, again, I think because of the live streaming, this has like been on the forefront of the zeitgeist for people that have been paying attention. I hadn't heard of them until
I hadn't heard of them either, and I am in this world. Like I should have known.
Yeah, well, I listened to a podcast called Stuff They Don't Want You to Know.
Yeah.
And they've recently started doing, I believe once a week they do like a weird news. So I love doing that because it's just a good, thing for your brain to get, good ideas. And they brought this up a week before, just like, oh, here's this woman. They're in Colorado, we think. People are trying to kick them out. And then, like, 3 days after, I saw in the New York Times the report that they found a mummified remains. They think it's her. I'm like, okay, dang, this is the perfect story right now. So here we are. So there we go. Love has won. Something to look into.
She'd been gone for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah,
Were they still doing the live streams?
Ooh, good question.
Because wouldn't it be weird? Like she's kind of the star, I imagine.
Yeah.
And if like the star was gone for a number of weeks, people would be talking. Like there probably is some kind of like
damn, is the mummy on
evidence?
I should have checked.
Oh no! I mean, like in the chats, someone would be like, "Hey, where's mother?" Whatever.
Oh, interesting. Good point.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a good point. And in fact, one of the articles I read did mention that no one had actually spoken to Mother God in a couple weeks. They hadn't been able to reach out to her, even though it seems like this is something like that you'd hear from her usually. And so it was like, okay, well, we can't confirm or deny, but something's going on. So.
Do you know, did they think that she was going to come back to life?
Ooh. Yeah, no reports of exactly what. The only interviews.
Because that would be one reason to sit on the body. Like if you were like, oh, she's going to be like Jesus and come back to life. You don't want to bury her.
She was reincarnated over and over.
Oh, reincarnated.
19 billion years. So how does that work?
Okay.
You have to be. Can I just walk in and be like, yo, what's up, bitches? Mother God in the house.
You could try. That's an instant cult right there, you know? Like, I never dreamed of starting a cult. You know, my wife always talks about this, about how much money and power there would be in it. You know, this would be like a turnkey cult. Yeah.
All right. So, next, labor shortage. Boom. Let's see here. All right. So, this one, pretty straightforward. Places and franchisees like McDonald's are blaming unemployment for their labor shortages, Jason. Well, weird.
Yeah.
What else could be the fucking problem here, Jason? I bet you know. Let's talk about it.
I mean, one, I don't believe that it's actually that there's a labor shortage. I mean, let's just go. Sorry, I have so many thoughts on this, but let's just go to the very first thing of like, what are we told all the time about economics? What's the one thing everyone knows? Supply and demand, right? If you want something and you can't get it for the price you're asking, you're probably the price you're offering. You're probably offering too low of a price, right? Like, so that's just the very first thing. If you can't get workers at the price you're offering, you're probably offering too low. Like I heard a contractor who was complaining about how he had bid for a job, got the contract, and now he can't actually make it work because he can't find workers. It's like, no, you underbid, and now you're stuck in a situation where you can't pay your workers what it's going to require. You're bad at business. You need to get out of business. I don't care how much money your daddy gave you. You're bad at business.
That's exactly it. And I think you can give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's hard to see this sort of thing happening right in front of you. What is going on here? There we go. But yeah, it's not only on this level either. If we're looking at like entry-level jobs and things like that, I saw you actually tweet something recently.
Yeah.
That whole, even if you're the middle class looking for a job, if you're a graduate looking for a job, it's this whole other situation of, just first of all, it's just a pain in the ass to apply. You never hear back. So you have to be out there hustling.
For low wage jobs, like surface jobs or like retail jobs, which is what I'm looking for. I mean, I take anything, but I mean, I know realistically that's the only thing that's there. You've got to take all these online application things that take forever. It's always like some weird, janky website that you've never heard of before, and they want all this personal information, right? They want to do a credit report on you, so you have to give them your social security number, like your last 2 addresses. You need multiple like references, and then they make you take like personality tests, and then you got to take a drug test. They put all these barriers in front of hiring people, and then like, we can't hire anybody. It's like, well, maybe, aside from just to pay, maybe you've just made the hiring process so cumbersome that it's just not working anymore. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know if you had to take any of these wonderful personality tests, which I believe are illegal and just are there to kind of filter out people with depression or anxiety issues.
Interesting. I definitely have taken some of them. I haven't really
Yes,
thought
they're
about
great,
the
aren't they?
legality of them, but I guess you're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because what are they doing there? They're trying to see, like, is this person, like they say, oh, we want positive people. Well, what they're saying is like, we don't want anyone suffering from any mental illness that's apparent. We want everyone just to be ultra happy, ultra loyal, obedient little servants.
Yeah, I've definitely
Sorry.
never heard that from any of those jobs. So let's just put it that way. And it's tough, yeah, especially in like production too. I almost got a
Mm.
cool job with Xbox for a really good salary, and
Yeah.
it's a high enough paying job. I thought, okay, they're gonna follow up with people. I got in the interview, right? I got past
Yeah.
that first round. It seemed good. We had good rapport. I reached out to the hiring manager and the both people I interviewed with. In fact, one of them followed me back on Twitter. But sure as enough, as I reached out, DM'd, "Hey man, who did you end up hiring? What is it that you liked about them? It doesn't even have to be about me. I just want to know something so I can have like a some kind of perspective."
Because
Nothing.
for a lot of jobs, that the whole interview process has gotten so long too. Like, you have to, there's like 3 layers of interviews you need to do. You're just interviewing with people, and then they just ghost you.
Yes. Never hear back. Never hear any.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I guess with like ZipRecruiter, they'll be like, you'll always get someone looked at your resume 3 times, only 4% of people. It's like, yeah, but I've never gotten a job. Why are you telling me this 4%? It doesn't fucking matter. How many of those 4% actually end up getting the job? Probably like very little. So yeah, they kind of just get you to click with that.
Yes, they want that engagement for their job sites.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is just kind of a systemic problem, I think, that people are trying to blame on the individual instead of the system. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I think, one thing I just want to add is I think a lot of people learned to like live on less, maybe just one income, or, they lost their apartment. Now they're living with their parents, or who knows what, they lost their car. The pandemic and the quarantine stuff has been so long that people have had to change their entire lifestyle. And so they're not as dependent on these employers like McDonald's, like they were, or like Target or Walmart.
But Tanya Van Loo just commented, so you shouldn't have to work at getting a job? Let's talk about it. No, Jason, I don't think you fucking should have to work at getting a job. This is America. We should have all the fucking jobs. What are you thinking, Tanya? What are you fucking saying, Tanya? Are you kidding me right now? People shouldn't have to work to get jobs? No, there should be plenty of jobs, but they're all shipped overseas. So I don't get what you're asking when you say people shouldn't have to work at jobs. Of course they shouldn't have to. Good job?
But the issue...
Maybe, yes. A good job, a high-level job, yeah, someone has to work to get into that. But
the topic isn't necessarily us complaining about how much work it takes to apply for jobs. That's a whole other situation.
True.
The real topic is these employers that are whining that they can't hire people. And we're just pointing out, hey, maybe these are the problems. Maybe it's not that everyone's lazy and you're awesome. Maybe it's that you've done a shitty job as a business owner.
I agree, yeah.
Sorry for swearing.
Right. She said, so if you don't get hired, you want to know the reason why. Well, she's trying to clearly has her own talk.
What was that about? What reason why?
So if you don't get hired, you want to know the reason why.
That'd be helpful. Yeah.
I mean, let me know for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be a good to, like, for employers to give constructive feedback about, hey, when you came in, wear pants next time.
Bring some prior experience.
Yes, yeah, give some constructive feedback. I mean, yeah, especially if you are complaining about how you can't hire people.
Yeah, you're right. So you shouldn't have to work at getting the job comment is missing the point, which is that it's not on us. It should be on the employer. I don't get why.
Well, at least in this
deciding
perspective,
to get a
like,
job has anything to
yeah,
do with McDonald's not paying me enough. Where my kid is in high school, he can work at McDonald's, but he's seeing
yeah,
a whole bunch of people are quitting. Yeah, because he's got like 35-year-old managers who don't want to deal with this shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, that's one of the things of those restaurants that people don't like to talk about, right? But if you work in restaurants or really fast food is like the really bad one. Lots of times the people in management are some like relative of the owner who doesn't know what they're doing. Like they have no idea what's going on. They don't know how to take responsibility. Like they're only there because a family member, right? And then you wonder why these restaurants can't be run properly or why no one wants to work for this guy who has no qualifications in management. He just came in the door. He's like the nephew or the cousin or the son of the owner, and now he's the one who's in charge.
exactly.
And the meritocracy. The
That's
meritocracy.
a pretty common mistake because you think you can like trust the person or something like that, but like you watch those like
No.
bar rescue shows, it's
Yeah.
always someone they know personally.
Yep.
And it's like
Yep. Yeah, it's like, well, you got to decide, is this a hobby or is this a business?
yeah. Then some tough discussions and decisions have to
Yeah.
be made on who you work with and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So next, UFO leak.
Oh, yeah.
These are always fun. Boom. Oh, and then we'll go here and here.
It's
Everything's much slower. There we go. Okay. So, the Inspector General launches evaluation into the Pentagon's actions with UFOs. This last few years, definitely since the turn of the century, more and more sightings of different things have been either leaked or now officially released by the DoD. The fact that the IG or Inspector General is getting in on this is very interesting because basically they are a Pentagon watchdog. They administer criminal investigations, audits, and oversights, and are looking into what the DoD has done as far as this goes. This kind of coincides with the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP ATIP. Now, this is supposedly a secret Pentagon, what's the word I'm looking for? Group that recently, I guess, one of the leaders had come out and said that he was, in fact, in charge, and some people believe McConnell had came out to confirm this, but of course the DoD completely still denies the.
I think it was Harry. Well, I think it was Harry Reid, wasn't it?
Was it Reid? Okay, you're right. See,
Yeah.
I'm glad you see. Okay.
Yeah.
You just saved my ass.
Well, because the context with Reid and Reid's weird stuff
Yes.
is important because
Yes.
he might not be all. Well, this is probably gonna make people angry. I don't think he's all there. So
That just makes sense to me, dude. I would agree. So let me see. If I go here, will it bring this up?
I mean, not the McConnell's all there either, but whatever.
Yeah.
They don't want you talking about this.
I know, right? Shut down. Okay, so just real quick, let's go through. There's the memorandum basically saying that they're going to start investigating. We plan to begin the subject evaluation in May. This actually coincides a little bit with unidentified aerial phenomenon task force that was going to provide a report to the Senate Intelligence Committee. This was kind of like added on to a bill, so it's not actually law. So everyone's kind of just keeping their fingers crossed that something comes out. This, though, this is real deal. This is a serious watchdog. The way they put it on some of the news channels, this is like the boss's boss walking into the room. Even the boss is scared, wondering what's going on. So definitely some interesting things going on. And I think this stems a lot, if you start reading through this, a lot of this stems from, as you start seeing these reports over the years, including Tic Tacs, supposedly these, now they call them UAVs, so I always get mixed up. Let's just call them UFOs. That's what everyone knows them as. Some UFOs being seen going.
That's my preferred term.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to change it up on us.
Branding is what's going to change ufology.
Yeah,
If we
exactly.
just change the name of stuff.
So these have been observed going into the water, coming out of it, floating midair.
Oh, yeah, they're Harry Reid, I think. I think that was
exactly
right there.
So the most interesting aspect I've heard of this is I like to get all sides of a story. I was on Fox News. I wasn't on Fox News. I saw a clip just because you get down that rabbit.
You should just imply that you were. That's what they do.
Yeah, I was sitting there, as I do. It was on in the background, and I think it was what's his name? Tucker Carlson had someone on there, and they were spouting out about, okay, this is an issue, guys. Where is our defense community? Is this like a giant intelligence failure we haven't seen since 9/11? They basically were if you look at the numbers and you look at the math, obviously we can say, okay, billions and billions of galaxies, there's got to be intelligent life out there, but really the Occam's razor would probably be that it's earthly technology that enemy country has that we have no idea how it works, and that's scary. And it's the most sense a Tucker Carlson story's had since ever, I think. Because I'm like, God damn, this guy's right. That's a good point. If these things are like messing with our subs, our nuclear subs, they're going in and out of the water, unlike anything we've ever been able to do with our propulsion systems. I mean, what the heck is going on, Jason? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I explore this stuff, but I really I am a skeptic. I don't believe in anything like this. I don't believe that we're being visited. I mean, if anything, if you were to put where my beliefs are, is I think I'm with you. Maybe what you're talking about is like most likely there's intelligent life somewhere in the vast universe that it kind of boggles my mind to think that we could be the only one. If anything, that's something weird. And I think to get even weirder, I think if it turns out we're the only planet with intelligent life, that really, I think, lends credence to the idea that this is all just a simulation, because that doesn't make any sense from what we know about chemistry and the fact that, there's been billions of years. Like, something should have happened somewhere. Anyhow, I don't think this report is going to do anything. I think it's going to be a big nothing burger. I feel like, I've been following UFOs, gosh, since I was a kid in the 80s, right? I feel like always there is something that is coming right around the corner. It's that usual thing, right around the corner, disclosure's happening. And I've just been hearing about it so many times that I'm just so disinterested because it's just, when I was young, I was disappointed, but eventually you just stop caring. Yeah. So that's kind of my opinion with this report. Cause I know a lot of people are very excited. A lot of people are very invested in this report coming out. And I think if anything, it's going to talk about maybe drones from foreign countries that we haven't been able to fully identify. And they're going to use that. This is my prediction. They're going to use that because they're going to say, oh, our ships need new anti-drone technology that I'm sure Boeing or Lockheed is going to sell.
Shit.
Yeah.
You nailed it, dude. I think you just nailed it. I think we just figured it out.
I mean, I'm not saying that, our ships are not being, I mean, they probably are being, if there are intelligent beings visiting, they're probably checking out our naval ships, and we probably have seen them, but I don't think this report is going to enlighten us on that at all.
Yeah. That I was watching. I think it was The Hill, and they were bringing this up, and the guest was actually said, what amazes me is they could bring the aliens up on stage, and I still wouldn't believe it was happening. He's like, there's just no way to wrap your head around that idea that it's anything other than earthly technology. But this is weird. It's still weird, man.
No. I mean, the whole situation is weird.
That it's not. It's like, okay.
The videos are weird. I just think that, I mean, part of the problem also is this whole narrative with these videos, like the gimbal and the Tic Tac, I think, and this will probably upset people. I don't know if we'll see, is that, that To the Stars Academy really polluted the waters a lot. I think that
what's that?
They didn't.
To the Stars Academy.
Are you familiar with the Blink 182? I think it was the lead singer.
Tom DeLonge?
Yeah, I highly recommend looking up To the Stars Academy. I don't want to get too deep into it. But he really. he tried starting this foundation that was going to reverse engineer alien technology and like patent it, I think, and turn it into a business. And he wanted to have a school. It was a big disaster. And a lot of these UFO videos just kept on popping up in the news. And it was always because their PR people were pushing them to journalists. And then they would. So if you notice, if you look at some of this footage, you've seen it multiple times. And it had this weird thing, like the Phoenix Lights had this too way back in the day, but that's a different story. Where every few months, the same video would pop up as if it was a big revelation. And then they'd have these guys from To the Stars Academy giving their comments. And I was like, okay, I've seen this before with like lots of other things. Like this is a PR company they've hired that goes out there, has made contact with journalists, and they're pushing a story. And then they give them the little printout that says, oh, ask these questions. These are people to reference. These are people to contact. I don't think people realize there's these like PR companies that give like these kind of prepackaged stories to the media. And, you know, not all journalists bite it, but some editors need to fill space. And most of the work is being done for them.
And it's easy. I mean, it's you know, again, I might get in trouble for this, but I kind of put it next to Bigfoot hunters because it's like, it's easy to get into it. Hey, there you go. Bigfoot. It's easy to get into it. You know, it's like, it's right there. It's intriguing. Tom DeLonge can be like, hey, I know someone that says they have access to alien technology. Let's start a business around this shit, obviously, because I don't know why the government's not doing it, but let's be the one to do it.
You know, and I had a lawyer on the podcast Mystery, and we actually talked about the possibilities of patenting alien technology. And realistically, this lawyer says that it's not possible. Because it already exists. You didn't invent anything.
Well, but no one on Earth has the patent.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked if there was any kind of jurisdictional issues, and he did not think so.
Yeah.
That you can't just go, like, grab a piece of tech from Canada that hasn't been invented in the United States and then patent it in the United States. You can still reference prior art from outside of your jurisdiction.
Right. Well, that makes me wonder, I mean, if this is, let's say, Russian, these weird aerial vehicles, I mean, did they secretly, over however long it took to develop this, our spies didn't know about this? Like, how did they come up with this technology? It's one thing if you discover it and you're like, let's reverse engineer this into our own crafts.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be getting here the long way and not getting caught or having.
Also, some of these drones may not be actually displaying anything particularly unique. I don't know. Did you see the footage of, I think it was over in the Persian Gulf, the drone footage from the Iranians? They were able to fly one of their drones to get high resolution photos, including the people on the deck of the aircraft carrier without the Americans knowing. And this was just with a drone, like just a drone. I mean, I don't think people realize how far along that drone technology is and how readily accessible it is, even just to people like you and me.
And what we don't
just imagine what the Chinese or the Russians or the Iranians can buy with their bank accounts.
Yeah, if you know what's commercially available, it's going to be a whole nother level when it comes to what we don't know about.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Jason, that's it.
That's
the Gauntlet,
all right.
baby. Hopefully you had fun. Everything was pretty good. It went pretty good.
Yeah.
Not too many hitches. Let's see. It's about an hour long, and I wasn't even trying. I think it's going to go about an hour. That seems like a good length. Thank you again for coming on. I'd love to.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to collab on anything you've got your eyes on. Let's contact, of course. And I mean, I'd love to have you on again. You know, you're my
anytime.
aerial phenomenon guy now, I think. So this is cool.
I'm just gonna disappoint people though.
No.
Like you know,
how much
like the Batman balloon. The Batman balloon was fantastic. Did you see that at all? There's a video that I think it was from maybe a military aircraft, and it was a fairly good looking UFO video. And then someone did some investigations, and it turned out it was a Mylar Batman balloon that was way high up in the sky.
Okay, so I saw some pictures that they were saying, is this a Mylar balloon? And the reporter was like, well, I'd like to think that a pilot with thousands and thousands of hours would be able to tell the difference. And that if he got his phone out to take a picture, it's something very unusual. And I think he's probably ran into Mylar balloons below. I bought that, but it definitely looked like it could be.
Isn't that like a logical fallacy though? Like, isn't, I forget what it's called, where you just say, oh, well, this person's an expert, so I'm just going to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, people make mistakes all the time. I mean.
Yeah, he's human. So,
Yeah. Especially once you see the balloon, you're like, oh yeah, that is the balloon.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the balloon, 100%. Yeah.
Well, it's the weather balloon thing always hurts the explaining in a way, because you're like, it's obviously not that. We got to come up with a better explanation than the weather balloons, because it doesn't look anything like that. But the Mylar thing, I mean, that checks out.
Yeah.
It just seems like it could be bigger. It's hard, and that's always the thing. It's so hard to tell distance and size. So.
Yeah, when witnesses tell me things like, oh, it was as big as a bus,
Right.
and it was like 500 feet up in the air. I'm like, I don't know. When things are 500 feet, like unless I've seen it before, like if I've seen a bus, I'm like, that's the bus the size of a bus. But if I see a Tic Tac UFO that's all just white and kind of uniform, I have no way of being able to know. Once it's like, if it's close to me, I can kind of gauge by how close it is and then get it. But like, when you're hundreds, thousands of feet away, how do you know? Like, you have no reference.
No, our monkey eyes are not used to trying to figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, also goes to that whole weird thing where we always assume the aliens are just like us. Because I always like the idea of tiny aliens. Like a spaceship like this big. If they're tiny, there's no reason for that not to be a thing.
That'd be pretty rad. Why not? I mean, you don't need a large physical mass if you're, you're completely digitally uploaded consciousness.
Yes, exactly. Like that idea that all these are basically
like vestigial organs.
Artificial.
We'd start not needing them to decay away.
Yeah, like we say about, the singularity, right? If we did reach that point of like, being able to upload our consciousness into computers, well, I could just make a copy of myself and shoot myself to Alpha Centauri and then go explore a whole other solar system,
Now the question is, would you still want just like your memory and your consciousness uploaded?
Yeah.
Or do you want like your head in a jar like on Futurama?
Oh no, I want to be fully software, because then I can make copies of myself.
Okay, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, it's going to take, who knows how many years to travel to these places.
That's true.
So I want to be able to travel and then bring myself back, and then maybe with the tech, maybe you could reintegrate. Like you could separate cells and then reintegrate them. Might be painful, might be difficult, but it'd be quite interesting to just sit on Earth.
Throw me in another heap of cells and keep it.
Yeah, or if we just exist entirely in a digital form. Like, you could be 1,000 years old, but just as a digital file somewhere.
Yeah.
And you could live in the cloud.
Yeah. Well, if we're not already, we had to get there somehow. So here we are. All right. Thank you again.
Yeah. All right.
Have a great time.
Thanks so much.
The rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. And have a great day.
Have a good one. Bye.